Oh, yeah. So anyone have any question about the message? What is the message? What ain't the message?
Where is the why the message?
You know, what you are doesn't need to be told what it is. Yeah. What you are isn't lost. It hasn't moved away, doesn't need to move closer. It just is what it is. And the message is really about why isn't that obvious to us? Yeah, that's really the message. The message is, why is that not obvious to us? Now, being in the community of recovery, had been driven by something for many years and suffered the consequences as the action figure. This all these things that affected me was done without me knowing it. Yes, I had no idea the structure of the defeat that I lived under at all whatsoever. That's part of getting the defeat is without knowing it, or an ignorance, or an unsuspected condition. And so basically, that's what many of us are in, seemingly. It's not us, but yeah, the head is in this fog. And therefore, to me, the real message is about that. Yeah. The real message is non duality. So obviously, it's not a message at all, in a sense. It's just a negation of something that will claim to be the hero of any and every message. Now, if you don't believe that, well, you'll probably find out it's true sooner or later. But there is an activity that goes on that has promoted and reinforced us, let's say, an artificial starting point. So in a way, all there maybe all there is consciousness, but consciousness appearing in this dream has a little hiccup. Yeah, there's a little bit of time that occurs before you know you're conscious or not. Yes. So there is, let's say, the I am that I am, and then there's a lull where the manufacturing of the non-existent thing to be an existing thing occurs. And many, many, many of us, I feel okay to say it, have started at that manufactured point. Yes. So, and then everything that goes on is putting more faith and more truth into this manufactured point, yeah, at the expense of the I am that I am, yeah, to the point where some people want to become the I am that I am. Many people want to become the I am that I am as the I am that they're not. Yes. So basically, every move we start from is from this manufactured point, humbly. Yeah. Because you have no choice in the matter. Don't you see the idea of you is an afterthought, so to speak? It's a sense of something that's not there, and there is no something, but there's a sense of something that implies there is a something, and that's the manufactured point. And most of us have lived through a lot of stuff, a lot of realizations, a lot of revelations, a lot of big things being revealed. But that manufactured point, no matter how many spiritual car washes you go in, doesn't seem to get washed off. Yes. It just can withstand any spiritual fucking buffet, mixing things and everything. It just throws it up or burps and it continues. Yeah, it was you. It was you. It is you. It was you. It's gonna be you. Therefore, it is you. Yeah, and so the message of non-duality is to question that without knowing. Yeah, it's to question the manufactured point. It's not saying anything about another point. It's just questioning the manufactured point we seem to live from. And some people would say we live from a point of self-centeredness, and the word self would mean a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yeah, which really, when pictured as a body, is really holding the claiming of all these attributes, not even say attributes, things that are happening, which are doing, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, and leapfrogging that backward, not ahead, but because the selfing is be after that, but it's presupposes the thing to be before it. Yeah, it's a tricky move in time. Why do you think there's time? Obviously, I mean, why? Everything that you have acquired in time, if not here right now, you don't seem to have it, do you? Time is used to manufacture this activity. Yeah. So selfing is an activity that implies that there's a one that may be doing the selfing. So the noun is fabricated by the claiming of the verbing. Yeah. And then the noun becomes the new manufactured point. And now this is the frustration because there's all this doing going on, and a lot of it doesn't seem to have anything to do with us, yet there's still the recognition from them that we're the doer. Yeah. So we get bound to this idea of do or think or feel or taste or touch her. And in a way, we question tons of stuff, but we don't question the manufactured point where we're questioning everything else from. Yeah. So it's sort of like Dracula going on vampire hunts. Yeah. It's more than happy to kill vampires to keep the spotlight off of it as the vampire. Yeah. So this manufactured point when you wake up in the morning, you wake up at that manufactured point. Just before you wake up, there's no manufactured point. Yeah. And then the system gathers itself quickly. You forget everything before, and now, oh, it's Paul, and I'm in the room, and da da dee, and I have this, and I have that. I wish I had that, but on and on. Yeah. I wish I could go back. And yeah, exactly. I wish I could go back, but the stubbornness is it only wants to go back as the I that came after. Yeah. See, this is the dilemma. It would love to experience its own absence if it could have a blog site where it could report back of and based on give report back its own disappearance. It's stubborn as hell. I to the point where I don't believe it can get it. I don't. I don't. Just like it took a while, but I was convinced through the life that was being expressed here that self can't get out of self, which is the statement in recovery. Yeah. Now, why? Because it never learned. No matter how bad the consequences were, it says it could just manage them a little better, it would work out. Yeah. And when one thing failed, like drug addiction, it would go to another thing, let's say called hard work, which I never went close to, but hard work. And then another thing called fucking spiritual path stuff. And it doesn't get it. All the failure doesn't succeed in convincing it. See? But you can be convinced of it because you're not it. Yes? This is the great news. It's not like you're in a like a bardo and then you're going to be another not it. No, you're not it. You there is a solid base that they would say is the I am. And he says all the questionings, Ramana would say, all the questionings, but you can't question you're on. You know, you feel on, don't you? It's just like you're here contacting, things are going on. There's an onness here. And so the I am is a fact. So the fact doesn't need to be reinforced. What needs to be lost interest in is the non-fact, so to speak. Yeah. Because the non-fact will live a life trying to acquire or experience the fact. Yeah. Which makes it impossible. You can't arrive at where you already are. That's the humble understanding I think non-duality expresses. Yeah. You can't arrive at where you already are. You can't, if you acquired this, it would be defined by the dualistic movement, and you'd be really, really upset and worried about losing it. Yes. But this is not about acquiring or losing, and not about maintenance. It's maintaining itself. The I am doesn't need fucking help, literally. Yeah. So, ah, so not two, not two. Now, where is the two-ness most closely able to be noticed? Is where you are right now. Sometimes it seems like you're that which is thought about, which would make you an object. Sometimes you believe you're the thinker of stuff about someone else, which makes you the subject. So it goes, yet the subject is pictured as an object. It is. When you say I'm conscious, you picture you as a body being conscious. You do, don't you? It's not you doing it, it's the system. The system thinks of you as a body. That's how it thinks of us. Yeah. It may think about spirit, but where it's thinking from is as a body. Yeah. And then it says, well, as a body, it sort of seems to suck. So if I acquire some spirituality, maybe it'll help what? The spirit? Does spirit need help? I don't know. I don't think so. It's going to help the body. Yeah. To help this little conglomerate we call us. Yeah. Obviously. I mean, who's drawn to sitting on a cushion for 13 hours a day? Who? What person is sitting in their bedroom or bathroom or kitchen right now? Man, I've got a yearning, a huge, I've got a fucking urge to sit on my ass for 13 hours. Really, to sit on my ass. And I hope I could do it for months. What? Who? You tell me. What happens? What causes the most upset at a retreat is the body. Your left cheek cannot stand. It needs, so I remember when I go on a retreat, the room was beautiful, it like polished wood floors and obviously some kind of incense cooking and the light coming in. And then each little space was like a little ponderosa in the field of nirvana. You know what I mean? A little ponderosa, a little thing, and then a little cushion. And it's all set. Probably they measured the distance, somehow triangulating a fucking rapture vibration or something. Who knows? I hope so. And then you go in there and it's great. You feel like bowing. You do. It's like, yes, sit there. After a couple of days, you go in, there's like mounds of cushions or a sweater or whatever they could do to slip under their left cheek or their right cheek. And they're trying to elevate their body so it isn't the all-consuming experience. And then some people just said, fuck it, and laid down. But you had a spiritual face you were fucking protecting. You want to be, oh, I saw that guy. He fell laid down the first day. You know what I mean? Whoa. Yeah. There goes my spiritual identity. So no, but I did not like those people, especially when they're snoring. They're dreaming lovely things and you're sitting, whatever. uh, Oh, it's amazing, really. It is. And I remember that same retreat. After about 11 days, it was a beautiful place. We used to call it the upper middle way. It was much nicer than, it's very nice. Very nice place to stay. Eagle claw bathtubs, fucking great, really. You didn't want to leave. The food was great, 3 meals a day. So everyone would be, it was sitting and walking, obviously, and there was hills, and people were like a sedated cow walking very slowly over the hills, you know what I mean? Just like this. And then every day this bell would ring at, well, many times, but once at 6 at night. And then the cows would come to the trough to get some food, sustenance. So there I was closer to the place where I had the food in my little wanderings that day. So I got there first and I walk in and lo and hold, what do I see on the buffet table? Ice cream. Ice cream. I go, what? It changed everything. So you have these lovely little eyes, and, and then so I figured I immediately my head started going, should I get some ice cream first and then bring it to my table, then get the food, or on and on. So then I was watching everyone, blissful and stuff like that. And suddenly, as soon as they saw the ice cream, the whole 12 days the retreat were gone. All 12, just craving and desiring kicked in. And it was great. It was that was the most important lesson I got there. Literally, was watching how 11 days of condition controlled peace was out the window by one bowl of Breyer's ice cream. Why would I do that anymore? Really? Why? So see, this is the thing with the manufactured point. Without knowing it, we think we must be it because it seems like everything starts and comes from us, the us that we're not. Yeah. So the I am has been replaced with I was and I will be, therefore I am Paul. Obviously, again, in time, it uses time to produce an effect without us knowing it, so to speak. And now the mental state is so fast, once that is established, anything that occurs, a thought or a feeling or an action through this is claimed to support the narrative, obviously. So it claims. And so now this magical, mystical noun called you that's living through this life of slings and arrows and joy and love as the doer, the thinker, the receiver, the giver of everything, reinforces itself without us knowing it. So basically, where we start is not where we start. It's off. And therefore, we can't ever get to that which is behind the camera. First of all, because we don't think there is a camera or anything, back here. We just think this is the end. It starts here and it's lived out that way. And when I go in, it doesn't seem to be not that many options. There's a giant gatekeeper, which is the head, and then there's a couple of little rooms it lets me go. And then if I'm enjoying something, it knocks on it. It's not going to last. Or if it sucks, the door seems to be locked for 30 fucking years. So it's just a weird little chamber of horrors that it plays us with. Yes. And it promises us shit and it doesn't happen. Yeah. And our only solution is more. Let me do more of something. Because if I pile on enough, it's going to have to change. But no, it doesn't work. Most people honestly and innocently, maybe the first thing they did with meditation was a one couple hours in one day. And then it progressed to a Saturday, a weekend. You go there for 2 days. And then, of course, that's not going to be enough. Then there's like the 10-day retreat. Yeah. Or if you're busy and you're an important person, you have things to do, 7-day retreat. And then it doesn't stay there, that it gets lengthened. Yes. The 10-day doesn't stay, oh, this is the staple of my life. I do one 10-day retreat. I knew people who did Goenka, the Vipassana 10 days, and they had done 135 of those 10-day retreats. 135. Their fucking ass was completely calloused. They could sit on a burning fucking coal and wouldn't burn their ass. It was the it was like fucking unbelievable. And I would say 135 by 10 is a lot of fucking days. And then I checked the guy out. Well, what's it didn't seem like it turned humbly. I don't want to, but in this example, he didn't seem too saintly to me, so to speak. And I'm going, why the hell would do something like that? So whatever. I like Goenka, when he did his Toad impression with the chanting. Oh, you'd have to watch this video at night. Oh, it was great. It was great, but I mean, I didn't want to watch it every night, for the rest of my life, whatever. So this message is, hey, if you ever read the Course in Miracles, that message is captured in I need do nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you need to do shit and you try to counteract that by saying you need do nothing, it doesn't work. But when you see that which needs to do a lot of shit isn't you, you have come to a point which is I need do nothing. Yeah. You see that the doing has been co-opted, and the doing, if you believe that you're doing yourself into liberation, it's reinforcing the bondage of the one that wants to be liberated. Yeah. I don't think you could turn back the clock on that. So in this case, you need do nothing, not because you need do nothing, but you see that which believes it needs to do a lot isn't you. Yeah. That's all. And what happens is some interest and attention could be a lot, starts being withdrawn from the manufactured and point and whatever goes on after it to the before, which was an unsuspected possibility, and we had been living without knowing it. So now there's a certain recognition that you are not that which is being aware of, you are the awareness of it. Yeah. Yeah. You are not an object to be aware of. You are the awareness of objects, seemingly. Yeah. And so it moves back. And now, when you turn around in that back, there's nothing there, but meaning infinitely nothing there. And you have come to the end of the road, so to speak, as far as you could be revealed to here. And now you have an ease and comfort that that doer that needed to do shit couldn't have. Yeah. Because I don't do anything unless I need to do it, literally. Yeah. I'm not trying to make what I am more of what I am. I think it's more than enough. Yes. It doesn't have quantity. It doesn't have weight you can weigh. Yes. It doesn't have any of those things. It's just not a manufactured point. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't care. But I am happy to know I was not that which I thought I was. Quite happy about that. Yeah. Yeah. Quite happy. And it's been now for a long, long time. This basis has been revealed. And, traveling lighter is how it expresses itself in the streaming. Yeah. Obviously, that which is light isn't seeking to travel lighter. Yeah. It's the action figure that has its wants and needs. They're not the epic of all epics, but in your little world, it needs things. It does better if there's community, let's say, or someone to rely on or have friends. And therefore you find what's needed on that table. You just don't swallow the whole fucking table up. Yeah. Yeah. And therefore, as soon as, let's say, the machine, like I used to drive an old truck and it was taking tons of oil in, and it would make a certain sound, and I'd have to pull over and give it some oil, put it in, and then that was it. I didn't have to go. It wasn't oil, oil, oil all fucking day. I had the oil driving around, heard it a certain sound, pull over, give it oil, and then no oil, oil, and then yes, when it needed the oil idea came up. It wasn't I'm obsessed with fucking oil. and that which would be obsessed with oil, I am not. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if it still stays obsessed with oil. I am not that which is obsessed with oil. So you don't have to, there's only a couple rugs that have to be pulled out from underneath you for you to be just there. Yeah, you don't, it's not like it's not a chore that you have to keep saying, I'm not that, I'm not that, because you're you're repeating, I'm not that, which the choir is always singing. Yes. So the choir will do the work. And after a while, you're not saying, I'm not that. When you notice all this stuff, you just know I'm not that. Yeah. Yeah. It gets established. And therefore, you travel lighter in an established manner. And it doesn't matter what the head believes. Well, you can travel lighter in 53 countries, but if you were in that 54th country, yeah, it just applies completely across the board. Yeah. Yeah. So here we are on another Saturday sharing this because I mean, I always thought you'd have to share something, but sharing nothing to me is the greatest value. Yeah. That whatever you approach this with, when it's disarmed at a certain point, you're going to realize there's no approach to where you already are. Yeah. And when you say, I'm never going to get it, it's hallelujah instead of super frustrating and disappointing. I'm never going to get it is actually a statement of fact. It's not a condition based on you blew it or you didn't do enough and you could have gotten it. No, you're never going to get it as what you're not. So, hallelujah. Literally. Yeah. So, there you go. Anyone now I before I came here, the farthest thing I was from was the conceptual idea of a satsang. And I believe that's the perfect condition to come and entertain satsang. I may have been looking at the what I see as the kindness in my dog's eye. I don't know. I think so. I think that was what was happening right here. Just it's a female and it has a female quality. And sometimes it's sort of like Mother Teresa with fur, man. The eyes just are really, really good. Really, of course, it's being coming from here, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful to see it on the screen. So yeah, any questions? Or I see a hand already.
Two
Annette.
hands. David Bitterman, I
Oh,
think, had
David
his hand up
Bitterman. All right, bring
first, and then
Bitterman.
Annette.
Yeah,
Thanks, Paul.
David.
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate your sharing today. Yeah, I just want you were talking about the claiming, and I just was, relating it to an experience I had I wanted to share, and then maybe a question about it.
Yeah,
But, we've talked a bit before. I was having just a series of those kind of whatever, big whacks, for a couple weeks at a time. And I work in a kind of high-paced job with functioning with a lot of people. So just synchronicities everywhere, but there was just no attachment to it. But it was the, living from that wider aperture kind of on the action figure level, because you are always that wider aperture. But I was listening to one day at the end of work, I was going home, and there's this song called He's Gone by the Grateful Dead.
yeah.
And it took me into my later years to realize how many of their songs have kind of almost non-dual poetry is like tucked into them. And they had a lyricist who was kind of a mysterious guy who wrote all their lyrics, who traveled in and out of their circle, but he was very non-public. And you can tell he understood some of what he was slipping in there. But this track, He's Gone, I was kind of listening to it and was lit up by the lyrics, kind of sort of celebrating the death of that sense of being a separate, long-lasting, independent thing. It was laughing when you think about the song in that from that perspective. It kind of makes total sense.
Hmm.
And then about a week later, some shit was hitting the fan, and I was looking back, laughing at that experience because it was the separate thing celebrating its own absence. From, you know what I mean? From a certain
But
perspective.
first, the thing itself was gold,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
subtly there was
yeah,
a claiming. But the
exactly.
claiming does not uh, produce a deficit in the value of the gold.
Sure. No, absolutely. I mean, at that moment, it was just a spontaneous wellspring of love and everything else, whatever it was. But it was then when exactly afterwards the claiming came in and saw it. So once that had happened, though, looking back on it, it was that funny irony of wanting to be there to experience your own absence. You know, yes, so there's the element
Yeah.
of that. But you're right, it was manufactured after, not in the original event. Um,
Yes.
so it's interesting because in some ways he is gone. In some ways, there was a death of when you talk about knowing you have a home, there's a knowing that you have a home. There's a sort of a death of on a deeper level, maybe not even where we're functioning from practically on a daily basis, of that existential anxiety in the system. But yet I'm still constantly shocked about. So it's like I know I have a home, yet I'm often living like I'm homeless still. There's still those.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
no contradiction in that.
yeah. I guess it's the never gonna get it part. The action on that action figure level is probably a hard one convincing on for this particular unit.
Great.
Yeah,
Means you'll come around more.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Truth.
So, see,
So yeah.
your seeming failure is success for us.
Mm, mm. Well, I appreciate that.
Can you imagine that maybe our personal ideas are being used on a much more collective level?
I
Yeah.
thought about that. I thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
like on a need to know basis, we talked once about, knowledge does have its own weight, but if that knowledge that you're being put through is going to be put to use, there's obviously could be greater function to it than we're aware. Some of that might be discomfort for the action figure, but like your experiences you've been through in recovery and everything to bring that message to that world, there's a lot of pain involved in it, but it puts you to great use.
Well, yes, and maybe, yeah. Who wrote up the goals of this little
Mm,
80-year appearance?
right. Yeah. And I mean,
It's
that's the other
about
thing.
going around in circles for 80 years.
Yeah.
And then maybe if something shifts, you just go the other way.
Right.
Who knows?
Oh
I
man.
mean, but
No, it's
what I
yeah.
love about all this is it brings out what you're not, so you can see it.
Mhm.
There's a lot of it lies in the weeds, and without knowing it's having a huge influence. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel non-duality is the greatest it brings into stark contrast misunderstandings that were just sticking right out in the open. Yes. And
Mm,
then it just puts the light on them for a second. And then the thing usually just collapses in and of itself. Yes. It's
mm.
sort of like if you caught a ghost that was masquerading as a person and then you called it, it would disappear, wouldn't it? Right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that's what happens with misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
happens.
so
Truthfully.
the understanding in non-duality, here in this experience as this action figure, understanding has been very important to me.
Hmm.
Yeah, or as this, because
Hmm.
when I finally got how fucked I was, yeah, I understood it to such a level that I've been thoroughly convinced for 36 years.
Hmm.
Uh, with no thought or effort on my part. I mean, I got struck sober, and then I met a way of life to extend that miracle for all this time. But
Hmm.
the getting convinced was all of a sudden, and it was packaged in time as an understanding. Yeah, I understood something that I hadn't understood before. Like in one of the first big waves of recovery is to see your role in things. And when people were trying to talk to me in the beginning, I was clueless. Yeah. All
Yeah.
the emphasis is on the person or the other people I thought had fucked with me or did this or that. And then when I was explained, and not even one on one, I was in a group where these old dudes were just explaining the big book of AA, and they were explaining about uh, this thing called the inventory of this and the fourth column, which is your role in things. I got it. I got my role in things as the principal. Yeah. And then I went right to my motel room and I did something that took me months before trying to do an inventory. I did it in like 2 hours
Mm.
because I saw my role in things. The
Right.
whole fucking new, it was like a panoramic, like vista opened up that I had been staring right through for years.
Mm.
Never
Right.
saw it. Suddenly I understood it and bam, it made, and so the same thing with non-duality. There was so many moments that looked completely uneventful that were profoundly moving. Just hearing a satsang uh, just brought down a lot of fucking paper houses down
Mm.
like that, and some of them never, nothing else was built on that property. It was just
Mm.
moved, and nothing, another thing didn't take its place. It was just woo.
Mm.
And so I have a lot of respect for understanding. I do.
Mm.
I think understanding, though not the vision, is very important in time. Uh, so it's the view, but the view allows itself to be filled by the vision, which is pretty potent, I feel. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And you
Instead
said
of trying to use the understanding to find the vision, you
right.
see the understanding's position is to be illuminated by the vision, by the
Mm.
awareness.
Mm.
Yes. And I feel the most compact, efficient understanding is non-duality.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you have to realize the longer it goes, the more apt the head is to claim it and get away with it. And
Mm.
then you'll become a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and as a contrast to a physical thing. Yes, but it's the thing itself that's the bogus idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you said some of those houses of cards were never rebuilt. Others try to rebuild again, and you just see it, right? I
Well,
mean,
they use for a community center or
uh,
something.
right.
They
So they
put
have
the
some
people,
value.
like it's like a workplace. You get used now.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you think I get, this figure getting downloads could have a lot to do with the seed assignment it finds itself in, and
Right.
have nothing to do with the idea that I should be brilliantly revered for downloads that come through me.
Right. Yeah.
It may just be of use, I have found to be of use and
Mm.
something useful. It's
Yeah.
not a, yes, that's
And,
how I
and to what you're saying, I mean, it's the whatever use that is beyond the scope, of the action figure. I mean, and it's
well,
limited ideas of what it, yeah.
action figure has got, it's so divine, it's so defined.
Yeah.
It's constantly trying to think itself out of that definition.
Hmm. But
And
I mean, we're having this human experience. So when you talk about its limitations, like, of course, it's got this human context that it's just the programming itself can't imagine beyond that. It's just the experience of showing up as a human or having the human
that's
experience.
an understanding that's valuable. You realize that there is a ceiling and a pay scale to the action figure, and
Mhm.
it's basically best kept in the light without having any ideas of the light. Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say when you were talking about that of the 80-year run, because you often say there's not, we don't have the waking dream in the morning, but then you could say, death is the waking dream morning, right? After the 80-year run or whatever. But there's when you have that understanding of your infinitude or whatever, there's a lot less pressure on because there's so much drive in the action figure programming to want to change or improve circumstances or whatever. It's just part of its programming. And like this sense that, well, it can do whatever it wants because it doesn't have an expiry. You know what I mean? It doesn't have an expiration date. So there's a lot less pressure on whatever. There's a lot less oomph in that drive to change or become or those.
Of course it's going to be,
Yeah.
because the oomph could be going to the living, not the, not
Yeah.
the not defining itself in a mystical, mythical destination.
That's
Because
interesting.
whatever there you think of, it's going to be here when you arrive.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Paul. It's been super helpful.
But I don't, one thing you said is I don't have a drive as the action figure that I think is going to, I'm not
Yeah.
driven to do a lot,
Yeah.
even before.
Yeah. Well, I just like, yeah.
I was just wanting to, if I could
Hmm.
slip and slide away, I would.
It's usually, didn't they say like, hatred and anger, the mother and father of the Buddha, meaning if the action figure is still causing itself suffering through misunderstanding, there's a certain amount of desire to relieve that suffering. Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sure. And then hopefully you've tried enough and came to a conclusion that you can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
And so that is a very clear understanding. This
Hmm.
is the clear understanding of recovery, which produced something that was impossible to work before they presented it in 1935, which is a spiritual solution. So no human power is going to get out of the situation you are as a human, thinking as a human, and all this. But there is a way out, but not through that. And so
Right.
by realizing the failure of the system that you're relying on, that's a pretty clear understanding so that your all your little gripping and everything, holding on to that old failed system sort of relaxes and you can go another way. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
rely on something that is reliable. I had so many examples of it in this, not in a book, I mean in life. I went into a program in 1985 called Delancey Street in San Francisco. I spent 2 years there, 2 years to 87, 2 years, never leave. No, not for your first year, you never even leave the place.
Wow.
No phone, nothing, 24/7. When I graduated from that place, I didn't like them. I didn't like the owner, the president, and all this, but I had to begrudgingly admit that my life looked better with them running it than it ever did with me running it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, obviously, I do not believe I hate myself, but I do believe there could be something in this event that hates me or hates this. Yeah.
Hmm.
And this is what I saw. I saw that if I looked this around this room, I could turn my life over to a dog catcher and it would probably do a better job with it than I would because they don't have the vested interest that was totally mutated into some weird fucking thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my being interested in producing a result produced a result, but unimagined to me the bondage of this idea of self.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like a slavery.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. I had did not see until I saw. Yeah. But now I've always seen that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate everything you do. So, cheers. Ciao.
I don't appreciate everything I do. I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
you
Let's on the action figure level, we need
have
to.
to be, you'd have to have some kind of fetish maybe to appreciate
Right.
this. You may have, but yeah, let's.
Yeah. 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 Well, another time for that. All right. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Yeah. There
And
was
yet,
someone else,
Yeah.
Annette. Annette.
mhm.
Hey Paul, hey everybody. Um, so it's just whatever it is, I want to say the mind, but it's just firing, 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 the resonance or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just going on. It's especially when I'm in the meetings for sure. And then in life, like I just feel like there's so many things that it and I just don't anyway, I just want to thank you, and thank all of you. This is just it's yeah.
Leave it at that. Yes.
Yeah. You.
No, that's contagious. Yeah. Good, Annette. If it's working, keep showing up. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone here?
Any other questions, comments? Brian C.
Brian
That's it.
C. All right, Brian C. Yes.
Yeah, I'll bite. So there's just like there's immense like discomfort that's been in the body for like a while. Um and so what you're saying, what you're teaching basically is saying like that's bypassed or that's not necessarily um that's not real. That's within the world of the action figure. Or
Yes.
it's
But
like today.
you may
uh,
need to deal with it as an action figure because you're in Rome as an action figure and you better do what
Right.
the Romans do. Yeah.
Right.
This isn't when you realize uh let's say if there was in this world you had something you thought was important and then you saw it had no importance at all and I wasted all my time and you would just put it down and you never looked at it again to maintain. This isn't how this message goes. You see what you're not as what you're not, and then things to take care of what you're not continue on. Yes, sort of like just the clarity of the Toyota was not the driver. It's that which is driven. Yeah. Yet it's going to be driven here. So I'm going to take care of the Toyota probably on some level, or it's going to break down and I'm going to be forced to take care of it or give it up or something. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Toyota. Now, the idea that if I'm not a Toyota, fuck all Toyotas and I never do, no, that doesn't work. Yeah. So there's a recognition that that which I thought was the driver, which was the Toyota, I now see as the driven. Yeah. Okay. Does the driven need things? Yes. Do I obsess over the driven? No. Do I think every thought I have is coming from how is it going to affect the Toyota? No. Yeah. My master plan for me is not for the Toyota. Yeah. I'm not believing. I hope I have a reincarnation as a BMW. Yes. It's the Toyota, but the Toyota has a role still here. Yeah. So the clarity isn't like, oh, now that I'm not the Toyota, you've never been the Toyota. See things. It's a weird assumption of choice and power that you didn't have to begin with. So you're going, well, I'm not the Toyota now, but you've never been the Toyota. I realize I'm not the doer. You've never been the doer. It's not like you realized it and now you were doing, and now you're not doing. It doesn't feel that way. It's just a simple thing that the Toyota's there, still there, but you're not in the role of thinking the Toyota is the driver. You see the Toyota is driven. Simple. It doesn't change the color of the Toyota, doesn't do shit. Doesn't change. It's just the emphasis shifts. And this is unbelievably profound when an emphasis shifts, especially if it's based on the fact that you actually were never the driver. The Toyota was never the driver. It was a misunderstanding that made me completely occupied around the Toyota. And I was seeing everything in life as how it pertained to the Toyota, and it's not the Toyota. Yeah. That's what happens in a way, using this example. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So life has
Yeah.
a wind that's blowing the driven. The wind lasts maybe for 80 years. I don't know, maybe longer. We'll go to Italy, drink a lot of olive oil, have some wine, make love. You may live to 98. I don't know. For me, it's probably going to be much sooner. So a wind is blowing me. Yeah, but it's not an infinite wind. It may be from an infinite source, but the wind is not infinite. The wind is of 80 years, and then it's going to either or slowly go down. Yes? Yes. Yeah. So something's going to move
Yeah.
the Toyota. Now, the Toyota, because the Toyota has been programmed not as a Toyota, it's been programmed as a driver. Yeah. So sometimes, as the driver, it hates the Toyota. It does. It hates the Toyota. The Toyota sucks. It doesn't look good, blah, blah, blah. But you wouldn't, if you saw the Toyota as the driven, you wouldn't berate it and hate it and feel all this shit because it's seen as something that it's not, that everything that follows has a weird tint. Yeah. One's trying to clean up those tints, but not seeing the source or the origin of it, which is there's a mistake. That which is driven, you think is the driver. Yes. All right. So to see through the lens of a Toyota without the Toyota ever fucking actually telling you, just the head that's built the little computer in the Toyota, thinking it's the toy, whatever. Yeah. We've been listening to that, and it plays a role of the GPS for the fucking Toyota, and it brings the Toyota into very bad situations. Yes. And then the Toyota gets holding the bag. Bad Toyota. Bad Toyota. But no, yeah, it's a mistake, a big mistake that keeps getting reasserted. Yeah. So there is something that's going to be driven, even though you realize you're not the driver. Yes. Or you're not the driver, there's still going to be something that's driven. Yeah. That's it. So, and deal with it or not deal with it. Maybe your hair will go and you'll end up on the streets. It could look that way. Or maybe you'll keep your job, go there every morning at 9, punch it in, have coffee with the friends, talk about the Giants losing or whatever. Very, yes. And just there you go. You don't have to go in. I'm not here. I've disappeared. Why are you? Then stop checking in, punching in. I've disappeared. No, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I've just been trying to deal with like the Toyota's like misfortune, so like like address all these things by, for example, like I felt some hatred towards my brother who I live with, and like in the system, I was like, this is super fucking uncomfortable. I gotta sit with this. I gotta figure this out. I gotta see where the story's coming from. Blah
don't
blah blah.
do a resentment inventory.
Yeah.
Down your brother, say why you resent him. Don't go through everything, but a couple of them, and then look at how it affects the instinctual drive that the Toyota has, the Toyota, and then look at your role in things and say, where was I or am I selfish, self-seeking, frightened, inconsiderate, dishonest concerning your brother? And there you go. Share it with another person. And if you have to, make amends to your brother, and amends isn't saying you're sorry, it's about saying you're ready or willing to change. So you won't do what you did to your brother to anyone else, if at all possible. There you go.
Right.
Done what you needed
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. I mean, I did nothing to him, but yeah. I didn't even say anything. It was just like I
Wow.
felt
So
it.
there
I was
you
just like,
go. So
fucking
now you're
yeah.
just you're in your mental Alps, you know, climbing the mountains of the Alps, which are molehills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, bring in I'll just
Yeah.
tell the truth about that. And a new proportion will be given to the mountains, and they may lose a couple of thousand foots, then it will seem to be a molehill. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
head is just gonna fuck with you right now because it doesn't want you to move. out of its range. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Hmm.
It wants you always to be there. Yeah. So, and that its death knell isn't vanquishing it or fighting it to the death. It's irrelevance when you lose interest in it. Yeah. When you lose interest in it, that's sort of its death knell. Yeah. Yes. Hey.
Yeah. I mean, there's just like a laughing at its misfortune, which, it's been really funny on one hand, and on the other hand, it's not so funny because like you said, like what if it loses its hair and it's fucking homeless, or like, all this stupid shit happens, and
Wow, losing the
I don't
hair.
know, whatever.
Watch.
That's not right.
Listen,
Don't go
Well,
there.
a couple of people here are halfway there. They've lost their hair at least. That's so, losing their hair is definitely determining that they're going to be homeless. I know it now. I feel rest. I feel rest. I feel good. Let me feel it. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm okay.
you still got it. You still got it.
But if you can just, if you're in recovery, I don't know if you are or not.
No, no, no. Well,
Hmm?
I went to your 12 step meetings. I wasn't sure if I belonged there though. I was like, I've been addicted to kratom, but I've never like been addicted to like alcohol or whatever.
That's any addiction is
Yeah, it's still
not
addiction.
what you're addicted to, but the addiction thereof. Yeah. But if
Yeah,
you're all interested, just look at the fourth step in the 12 steps and just do a little inventory of the
yeah,
resistance and the fears and the yeah, and just share it
yeah.
with somebody and you'll get some uh relief. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's sort of like the Toyota can hold on to the driver's license and still get a little relief. Yeah. Yeah. And in that world, a little relief has value. So,
Mm.
and then one day you're just going to turn over the driver's license and recognize it's the driven. And that way, that sort of establishes a traveling lighter. Yeah.
Mm.
As the Toyota, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you
Thank you,
can hold
Paul.
on to the license still and still do some stuff and get some relief.
I don't want the license.
Yeah. Yeah. Then surrender, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Admit you're outmatched. That's all, or
Yeah.
overwhelmed. Because having a belief that you can't manage and then having a demand to manage is fucking incredible, insane shit. The head loves to get you into those conundrums. What are you going to do? Which means how are you going to manage
Uh,
what you've caused to be unmanageable? You're not. That's the surrender. Yeah. All right. Let's all do it. Let's all mimic
Thanks,
it.
Paul.
Hey, Brian, I just want to say I put a little link to the basic resentments worksheet. It's in the chat if you
There
want
you
to take.
go.
I
Good.
just dug it up, but it's
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
do it
I
about your
appreciate that.
brother, and then you see
Yeah.
it's the brother that appears in the head, not your living brother. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
your brother, meaning the brother that yours, your idea of the brother. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is helpful. It's a good understanding to get.
Mm.
I've had people that I believed I really screwed over, and that because of that, I avoided them at all costs. Never gonna ever say anything. Finally, I got the balls through recovery. I went to talk to them. They didn't even remember shit. I thought it was like an earth-shattering, altering direction, abysmal, nothing. What are you talking about? Literally. I mean, it's just insane. This is a subjective event, bro. what you believe other people think that you're thinking, they're busy thinking about what other people are thinking about them. It's just a cluster F. Yeah, it's just everyone is doing the same thing. I mean, it's called yeah, yeah. But the belief that I had done these terrible things was the real bondage.
Yeah,
Not
it's a
that I did
shame.
them, not that I did them, the belief. Yeah. Not that they
Yeah.
happened, but I did them with this idea that I shouldn't have done them. And this is what I've come to with recovery, and we keep trying to share at those Zooms, is the idea of what has driven you has been foreign to you. Yeah. So you're accountable for what happened in this game board. You're accountable for what happened seemingly through me that affected the other game board members. But you're not fucking responsible. You were driven. Yeah. And this is easily to be seen in alcoholism and addiction. And it actually, that principle can be expanded to everything, literally. Yeah. But the pinnacles are easier to see because it was so obvious that I would not have come up with the shit that happened when I was out there. Yeah. And that same shit hasn't happened in 36 years. And seemingly I haven't changed, but the influence I've been under has changed. So I was loaded, and being loaded opened me up to be driven to do a lot of fucking shit. And the similarity of what I did and the other addict did, and the way I felt and the other addict felt, and the way I thought and the other addict thought, sooner than later, sooner for me, revealed to me how could these be my thoughts and my behaviors if millions of fuckers are doing it. Right. Yes. So we were taken over by a singularity called self, and that singularity with finite traits used us to manifest or to express itself through, and drove us as the Toyota to tons of terrible places. And the Toyota's trying to figure out, how am I going to pay this ticket? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the poor Toyota is now being held as the driven when it was the what that which was driven. I mean, the driver, and now it's instead of seeing it's the driven. And so it's the poor Toyota is overwhelmed by all these things it's done without knowledge of what the fuck happened. I mean, I rob those 50 banks? No, you were the car they used to drive you to the 50 banks. Yeah, so there is a real relief when you start seeing one. So start small. Use your brother, do an inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome, brother.
Appreciate
You're a lifetime member of Zen Bitch Lab. So if that
it. Thanks,
allows
bro.
you to have any solace, use all that solace. Yeah, yeah.
It helps, man. It helps.
I know
Yeah.
it does. That's why you're a
Yeah.
lifetime member.
Thanks, bro.
No dues,
Appreciate it.
just benefits.
Thanks, dude.
Oh no, we have more questions.
Oh, no.
All right.
David Lowe and
Mike
Mike Yim. So David.
All right,
Welcome
David.
when you're back.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, after 40 years of having been taught it and thinking about it, just like it strikes me anew, never having been the doer, your entire basis for any poor self-esteem is gone.
Yes.
It's incredible relief. So yeah, thank you for that. Wow.
Yes. And the funny thing, the poor self-esteem is just like someone smoking a vapor and the cloud. Yes. Yes. But it's all rooted in the idea of being the doer and actually not doing. Yeah. It whacks you both ways, what you've done and what you should have done and you didn't. So it gets you in the dualistic menage a trois. Doer, should have done it, shouldn't have done it. It's very uncomfortable. Yeah. All right. Thanks, bro. Mike M.
As always, thanks, Paul. I just wanted to comment that that idea of like not being the body, I really carried that. But then I was like, why am I doing yoga like in a 110-degree room, forcing myself to do these things? And I saw that like I really believe that my body needed discipline. I have to do this in order to whatever, look good, lose weight. And that is really dissipated. And the cool thing about that is I get to go and do exercise or ride a bike without all these motives, man. Like there was so many motives for exercise or any physical activity that I used to do. And it's just the freedom from that is great. And I really understand what you mean about like, yeah, like I need to maintain, I don't need to. The vehicle needs to be maintained. And if there's something going on physically that I need to go get checked out, I get it checked out. Like there's not all this obsession with the body and with the physicality of it all. And that's a result of doing this work. And it's a result of coming here for years. And that the freedom from that is so amazing. I also wanted to comment on the kratom. I've been working in rehabs for about 12 years now, and I'm seeing more and more. In fact, I had a sponsee who had a horrific relapse on kratom and was drinking it and doing it every day. But you know, he's a real addict and he was trying to avoid drinking by doing the kratom, which, you know, they call switching seats on the Titanic, basically. So I believe anything that there's an addiction to, just like you were saying, we can look at these steps and see the truth about these resentments. And what I saw was I had well, there was an expectation for every title I wrote a resentment about my sister, my mother, my father. Like I had an idea based on that title and the role that was assigned to them of how they were supposed to act. And the great news is like, well, perhaps they're spiritually sick. Perhaps they're having a hard time or had a rough upbringing. And everybody gets let off the hook as a result of doing 4 through 9 and not staying in this never ending remorse and sadness and guilt and shame about the amends, but really amending it, as you said, not that mumbling of I'm sorry, but like, hey, this is what happened. What can I do to make it right? And sometimes it's just a living amends. Dude was talking about that he didn't really do anything. Well, maybe it's just about a living amends and being a better brother and showing up on that level with hopefully what can be cultivated through this process is patience and tolerance. So, yeah, I think this way of living, these 12 steps definitely has its benefits for us all. I just really appreciate you, man. I had a deep experience while we were out there in Italy, and I've been able to come home with that and just kind of see things from a different angle and have a little more freedom from the bondage of self, which is ultimately what this is all about, right? So much love to you, dude. That was unforgettable, that trip, man. That was definitely something on the bucket list that I didn't even know was on there, you know?
Yes. Great, Mike. It was really great to meet you and have you there. I had already met you, but all the other folks. And yeah, we had a binder of vignettes. Claudio is my man. I'm not forgetting Claudio from that guy was great. I walked into his restaurant or something like a delicatessen. He put his hand on me and it was just surrender. He put me down in a chair, started feeding me. I knew as soon as he touched me, I'm along for the ride. It was very cool. So yeah, so that very nice. Thank you. And everyone, thanks for being here today. Uh, yeah. And the thing is, you're not the good guy or the bad guy. Yes. So if you work out with weights, that doesn't make you anything. If you don't work out with the weights, that may make you fat. But it still doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of like that. You always want to have, you don't want to have a new arena of requirements and withholding. which is what happens. So, all right, I can do this, but then it'll be a that. Yeah, just disarm, disarm, disarm.
Mm.
Yeah, and then see how. Yeah, all right. I'm going to say goodbye to Judy Lovins. Thank you, Judy, for all your support in so many ways. I've had the pleasure of meeting Judy live. It's very nice. Axel, our man in Germany, he was one of the, he was over there, Pescara. Yeah. Pescara is, it's the European center of ZenBitSlap.com. Pescara, Italy. Yeah. We don't even have a PO box. There's definitely no physical location, but we could say if you go to Cafe Fabrizi, yeah, they'll remember us. David Bitterman, always a pleasure to see you, David.
Hi, David.
Yeah. Eric, nice to see you in Vista. Tomas in Poland, he was with us, and what a lovely guy, and very thank you for the donation. And yeah, we had so many nice people there. Kerry, as always. Kerry, you're going to show us your house when it's done, right? Yeah, good. Gary C. Nice to see you, Gary. Placerville. Moochie, Facet.
Nice to see you, Paul. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Kathleen, Pennsylvania. Merrill, feeling, yes, lighter there. Brian C., 2024 AD. Roman Mueller. Roman Mueller. Hey, nice to see you. I don't see the radiator, so it must be all right. Yeah, good. Ben, nice to see you, Ben. Mike Clark in Mexico. Graham, I can't really see you, but I get you there. There you are. Nice to see you, Graham. Yeah. Keith G, nice to see you, Keith.
Hey, what's up?
Laurie, Rico Cruz, a man of his word. Anna K in Oregon, I think, yes. You can tell if they're wearing a vest. They could either be in Oregon or Washington. Oregon. They sell a lot of vests in Oregon. Let me see. Ashland, yes. Annette, she's in her car. And it's not a Toyota, I don't think. Eric, the other Eric. Wow. Nice to see you, bro. Yeah. David Lowe. Ilan. Oh, here. Nice to see you, Ilan. Let me go to this other page. We got Alan Olson and Vlad. Vlad was with us. He's always with us. Vlad is an unforgettable something. I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paul. Italy was amazing. It's no words.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Zoe Banks. Nice to see you, honey. Kathleen. Sean. Soren. Andre. JP Midwest. Fletch. Oh, Fletch, my Bhakti man. Phone number. I don't know. Mitch. Nice to see you, Mitch. How are you? Have you ever been here before, Mitch? I think so.
Once before.
Yeah, once. Yeah. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome. Everyone else, thank you. Laurie, I think I got everyone. Hey, have a wonderful day. We'll be schedules on and very happy to sit with all of you.